Zach isn't the only person within the Diamondbacks organization I want to talk to. And I'm just going to say this right now. Let me preface this next section by saying this hurts me so much.
What?
To say what I'm about to say.
What are you talking about?
The Arizona Diamondbacks, Jesse, are one of 4 teams in Major League Baseball that changed their beer selling policy. I believe someone addressed it in the chat a little while ago. I think it was Ryan. He said we do get beer sales in the 8th now. They are one of 4. Rangers, Brewers, because of course the Brewers.
Yeah, of course the Brewers were going to be in there.
Of course they did. And the Minnesota Twins are one of our 4 teams that have extended their beer sales to go through the 8th inning because baseball games are shorter.
I mean, they are shorter.
They're
not wrong. They're not wrong.
That's fine. And I, being a person that have lived by society's rules for far too long, I deep down inside my rebellious nature loves this. But logically, what in the fuck are we doing? Are you serious? So baseball games are shorter. So you're going to let people drink later into the game. What? I mean, you guys are going to hate me. But shouldn't sales stop now in the 6th inning instead of the 8th? Shouldn't we go back a little bit? If you buy a beer in between the 7th and the 8th inning and baseball games go the way they've been going lately, you are going to have half of a goddamn beer in your hand when that game is over. I thought the point of us stopping selling beer in the 7th was so people could sober up and drive home safely. Matt Strom from the Philadelphia Phillies has a similar problem with this than I do. And I hate that I have to say this because I'm sitting here drinking a beer right now. I feel like a hypocrite. I feel like the worst hypocrite, right? But it's like Elizabeth said, danger in the name of money. So American. I mean, that's what it is. Kyle said the Rockies also extended their beer sales. Well, they play at Coors Field, so of course they did.
Of course.
But, and again, I'm not like super mad about this at all. Like, again, it's
really
still, well, it's still up to the individual, right? It's still up to you. Like, basically, it's on you to take responsibility for yourself, as it always really should have been in the first place. But we cannot allow people sometimes, unfortunately, to leave that responsibility up to themselves.
Yeah.
As we've seen here in Arizona quite a bit, that doesn't work out. And unfortunately, people's lives are put at risk on this kind of thing. I'm not trying to be like a sad sack here, but I hate when stuff is illogical to me. And like when you try to tell me that the reason why you're doing this is because of beer sales, that seems very dangerous. And like, okay, beer sales have gone down. Great. That should have probably been something you guys factored into shortening the time of baseball games. This shouldn't be a surprise to you. They knew exactly how much shorter minor league games were going to be. And they knew before this season that they were going to hopefully shave about 25 minutes off of the average time of games, which that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
So how is this a surprise, and why is this the solution that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me either. I mean, like you said before, the point of not selling alcohol past the 7th inning is because you want to make sure people are safe to drive home.
Yeah, it's not to let the
afterwards.
concessions people go home earlier or anything like that. It's just simply for safety. And again, I drink on the show almost every single episode that we do. I am not against drinking. I'm against I'm against drinking irresponsibly, right? And that's something that we should all focus on, being as responsible as we can when we do drink, right? I have left here quite a few times where my car stayed in the garage outside because I'm downtown Phoenix and I went and met with my friends, had a couple more drinks, and took a Lyft or an Uber home, right? I'm not saying that that's out of the realm of possibility now with baseball games being, what they are, right? Like bars close at 2, things that sell alcohol serve it all night long. It's not like, I guess it's not Major League Baseball or any sports job to make sure people are being responsible, but it kind of is, right? It's kind of like when they blame a bar for letting a guy that's been served, entirely too much walk out the door and jump in his car. And I honestly, I find this to be really irresponsible, even though I love beer. I love beer, Jesse. And like, you're putting me in a position
to have to speak out against
beer. I hate this. I don't like this. You did this to me. Don't do this to me.
It is interesting to me also that, something we talked about in the offseason is how will shortened game times impact concession sales, which was a concern that a lot of people raised. And there was an article from Baseball America that we talked about where they looked into this, and they basically found that in the minors, concession sales were not actually impacted at all by the fact that games were being shorter. What they found was basically just that people were actually staying through the entire game rather than leaving early. Staying there for that same amount of time actually allowed them to be there for the entire duration of the game rather than leaving in the 7th inning or something like that. So they were still there anyway for the full duration of when the concessions were available. Now they were able to actually see a full baseball game while they were there. I don't know if maybe teams have some data that is showing them that concession sales actually are down, and they're a little worried about that in the early going. I know that the D-backs in particular with their TV deal and whatnot, I'm sure they're trying to bring in as much revenue as they possibly can. But this isn't an issue we expected to have, and it's interesting to see teams making this adjustment already.
If beer sales are a problem or profits are down, why not raise the price of beer?
I don't think people would love that either. But
I don't like it. I can't believe I just said it. There's lots of things I don't like. But
what also. The hell?
Well, I know that was.
Did you just openly recommend that they increase the prices of beer?
It's like $15.50 a beer.
Phoenix Rising has dollar beer night, right? And so what I will say is that irresponsible too, right? Like I love dollar beer night. I think Clutch Canuck brought up in the chat. Now they're bringing back 10-cent beer night, which I know they're not because that only happens in Tupelo. But no, they not. I don't know. I don't know where the line is crossed because, like I said, is dollar beer night also just as unnecessary or irresponsible potentially? I feel like I drink way more at dollar beer nights at a Phoenix Rising game than I ever do for $15 at an Arizona Diamondbacks game. So or concert or show or anything. Typically, if I go to a Suns game, especially a Suns game, which is shorter than baseball or used to be, I don't know if it is anymore.
Pretty similar now.
I get one beer. That's it. One gigantic beer that cost me like $20, and then because of that, that's it. Most of the times I'm not even going to finish it before I could go get another one before they stop selling beer. So I just. Again, I feel like I've strayed so far from God now, Jesse. I feel like
you're asking them to raise prices. You're doing all sorts of crazy things.
I don't know what's happening.